Okay, hola todos. I'm going to do this in a bit of Spanglish. I'll mix back and forth between Spanish and English, so just be prepared for that. As I explain how we use commands with our pronouns. We've come full circle back to the pronouns. All right. La ubicación. Ubicación means placement. In el affirmativo, we've got two kinds of commands, right? Affirmative and negative. Affirmative meaning do it. Negative meaning don't do it. Don't do that. All right. En el afirmativo ponemos los pronombres después del verbo. After the verb. Y está escrito todo junto. It's written all together. Just like we've seen with gerunds, right? When we had gerunds and we had the option to place pronouns at the end, we don't put a space between the gerund and the pronoun. We write it out as one whole word. Well, same thing applies with affirmative commands. You write it as one word. The difference is it is not an option like it is for a gerund. It must get placed at the end. It's just one of those rules. Probablemente tendrá un acento. We'll talk a little bit more about that. If you haven't taken good notes and or watched the video about accents and pronunciations, pause this and watch that now. That'll make some sense. All right, so that's for the affirmative commands. If it's negative, good news there. Antes del verbo. Just like we normally do with pronouns in any other tense, plop it in front of the verb. There's been a few situations in tenses where if there was an infinitive or a gerund, we had the option to place it at the end, but we're always safe with it in front. Negative commands must go in front. Affirmative commands are the one exception where it really just has to go at the end. So let's play with some examples here. Let's say cooking dinner, and we'll vary who the indirect object is. We have cocinar la cena. So la cena is always going to be, as a pronoun, la. So let's do usted. An usted command. It's an AR verb, doesn't have an irregular yo, so the command will be cos, and so we flip our endings so they look not like AR but ER. Cocine. And then, what the heck, we'll say for me. Cook dinner for me. So if it's for me, it would be me. And la cena is la. Which comes first, direct or indirect? Right, the indirect. So cocine me la. And we said that's written as one whole word. Now, as this is written, that says cocine me la. We really want to make sure that the stressed syllable is in the verb. That's the main action. That's the show. Cook. So it's got three syllables. Co-si-ne. So if you remember, if it ends with a vowel N or S, the stress falls on the next to last syllable, which is si. So to stress that, we say cocinemela. And that's how you say cook it for me. It probably being, we said what it is, la cena. If it's negative, remember we said these guys go in front of the verb. So let's do that. And they are not written all together. No me la cocine. Nah, don't cook it for me. I've already made my own dinner, or whatever reason. All right. Let's vary it slightly. Let's make it an ustedes command. Cook, all of you cook it for me. Cocinenme la. Now the stress in cocinen ends with an N. The next to last syllable is still C. So cocinenme la. No me la cocinen. All right. Let's make it interesting. We'll keep it as ustedes. But instead of cooking it for me, let's say you guys cook it for us. Cocinen nos la. All right, what do we think? Obviously, it's still going to get stressed there. Cocinen. What do we think about this? Do we keep both of them or get rid of one of them? Because we really don't like double consonants in Spanish. There's only a few scenarios, right? Double L for ella, like in como te llamas. Double R for words like carro. Occasionally double C, that makes an X sound, like acción, sección, what section you in, la lección. As we see this is actually correct. Because let's take a look. What would it be if we only had one N? Cocinelos, la. Well, then it looks like the command is cocine versus cocinen. So that would make it an usted command. So even though you might not hear the difference in pronunciation between cocinenosla and cocinenosla, their spelling does matter. It lets the reader know, are you telling one person to cook it for us or all of you to cook it for us? So that is the fourth scenario in which you can have a double consonant. If a command ends with the letter N and the pronoun is nos. Now negative doesn't make as much of a difference. No nos la cocinen. No nos la cocine. And let's not forget we can do nosotros command. Let's just do a single command for let's cook it. Nosotros. For that us, it would be cocinemos. Cocinemos. Ooh, the stress is actually over the ne. So once we start adding another syllable, if we want to anchor that syllable or the pronunciation of the verb, which we do, we must accent the E. Cocinemosla. But you don't have to worry about accents or anything else. It's not reflexive there. No la cocinemos. Let's not cook it. Okay. Let's just do a quick example with leerme un libro. Read me a book. You read me a book would be lea. Léame el libro, the book. Léame lo, right? Because that's going to become lo. Me is already there. We've got le and a. That's our verb. The stress is on the le or is it on the a? Well, it falls on, if it ends with a vowel, which it does, it falls on the next last syllable. Le. Léamelo. If it were ustedes, léanmelo. Lean. Oh, still there. And if it, well, you couldn't have a let's read it to me. But let's just do leamos. Leamos. So it really seems like the stress falls on a different vowel if it's nosotros. But it is at least consistently following the rule of vowel NRS, next last syllable. Leamoslo. Once we've added another pronoun. But again, no need to worry about it if it's negative. No me lo lea. Ustedes no me lo lean. Right? No me or no lo leamos. Let's not read it. All right. Not too bad, right? Good. Let's make it more complicated. Oh, there's always something, isn't there? In nosotros. Con los reflexivos no hay la S, right? Afetar by itself would be afetemos. Ir, well, it depends if it's affirmative or negative. So, oh, well, we're just talking about affirmatives, right? Right here, afirmativos. So that would be vamos. But we drop it. Afetemos. What happens to say if it's in the nosotros form? Right, it becomes nos. So it'll be afetemos nos. We don't like that. So it becomes instead. And why don't we like that? I don't know. It just sounds kind of weird. You may hear some native speakers include it. Officially, formally, that's incorrect. But just be aware it's something you might hear. Afetemo nos. Now we still want to preserve the pronunciation of that verb. Afetemo. So it seems like the next to last syllable in afetemos is the te part. So the correct spelling is afetémonos, acento en la segunda E. And irse, right? We saw that ir is vamos. The se, if it's nosotros, is nos. We cut that out and make it vamonos. And again, vamos. Then the next to last syllable is va. So vamonos. I don't want to hear vamanos, even though you might have thought that's what it was saying your whole life. No, it's vamonos. That's where it comes from. When you use irse, which is sort of like to go, but it's more like salir. It's more like let's go, as in let's get out of here. Vamonos. All right, so that's the first little thing to watch out for. We drop that S there. We also drop the S whenever you have a celos, celas, or celo, or celas. I should probably say, like, it could be singular. Celo, celas, celos, celas. Understanding that se is really a le or lace that changed, because when we have it before a lo, la, los, or las, it becomes se. Let's use an example here. We've got traer la tarea a ella, to bring the homework to her. So, if it was, usted or ustedes, would be simple. Traiga la tarea a ella would be tráigasela. Tráigansela. But if it's nosotros, our command is going to be traigamos. Before we do anything else, let's figure out. Traigamos. Seems like the emphasis is on the second to last syllable because it ends with an S. So once we start accenting this, and we're going to figure it out. Now, which comes first, the direct or indirect? That's right, the indirect. So the lay is going to turn into a say, and the la is there. And this is not in order, so really that goes here, because we said the indirect comes first. So let's clean this up now. Altogether it becomes traigamos cela. And we said we accent that A. That must have been what I was talking about before. We dropped that first S, because we don't really need two S's. We try to avoid double consonants in Spanish, and the only times you see it outside of those four I mentioned before, double L, double R, double C, and the occasional double N, it just doesn't happen. There's borrowed words like Mississippi, but that's a proper name, right? So we're going to get rid of the excess. So it's just traigamosela. Still accenting that. for let's bring it to her, it being the homework. And keep in mind, this is only in dealing with the affirmatives. Let me make sure that I just reaffirm that here. Right. In the negatives, for example, it would be no se la traigamos. And now we can put the S back there. Okay? Only other place to really watch out is in commands that have one syllable and only one pronoun attached. Now, there's a bunch of two commands that are one syllable, but the only one we've seen thus far is dar, right? Which is de. If we had just one syllable, like deme, if I didn't choose to make the direct object, like the book, into a pronoun, I don't have to. I could say, instead of give it to me, I could just say, give me the book. Deme el libro. I no longer need the accent if it's just one syllable and one pronoun. If I said, delo, give it. However, if I start putting it back together, more than one syllable, without any accents, this is demelo, and the stress is no longer on the verb. And the verb's the main event, the main part of this whole thing in demelo. So there we do accent it. But okay, I feel like we've had enough to keep us busy there. Right now, I want you to practice these object pronouns with commands. Now, this worksheet assumes you've seen two commands. So if it says two, just use the usted command. Some of these will have just one pronoun, like number one says buy it, comprar usted el libro. So it'll be compre el libro is going to become lo. Is it affirmative? Yup. So we put the lo at the end of the verb. Comprelo. And I'm going to want you to know those pronoun placements. Compre. Next last syllable is comprelo. All right. What if we had one that was this? We're not going to use the two. Multiple. We've got traiga. To me is going to be me. It is either lo or la. Oh, it's la comida. Tráigamela. Traiga. Next syllable is trae. In the word traiga, we accent the A. Be careful when there's two vowels. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But generally speaking, you fall on the stronger vowel, right? Is it trae or trai? No, it's trae, so on the A. All right, so complete this worksheet for homework. We'll go over it next time we're together. All right, good luck.